This third hour of the Elias Macko Show begins across the country in Vancouver. That city is facing a growing human waste issue with streets filled with feces, despite the city's efforts to manage it. In 2024 alone, the city's feces removal program handled over 17,000 poops after receiving more than 700 complaints. To address the problem, local businesses have hired quote-unquote poop fairies, their term, not mine, to help with the cleanup, working to sanitize affected areas. The problem is worsened by increased drug use and homelessness, with some public restrooms unavailable or broken. Let's take a look at this story with Walley Wargolet, Executive Director of the Gastown Business Improvement Society in Vancouver. Walley, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
There's a couple of reasons why we wanted to do this story on the show. One, we saw the term poop fairies and we said, okay, that's interesting. And then part of me is worried about the future of this city because we see some warning signs that we may be going down a path similar to what Vancouver is doing. And maybe you guys are 10 or 15 years ahead of us. So, Walley, from your perspective, how did you get to this place? How did Vancouver get to a place where you need to have poop fairies?
Well, I do want to make it clear, there's the majority of this is a situation of folks not picking up after their dogs, right? That really is a situation that we have, and I'm not sure how things are out by you folks out there in Montreal, if that's the situation, but that really is a problem, and we're addressing it with this program. We've also put out free dog eggs throughout our neighborhood and other neighborhoods to try and tackle it, and so we're hoping that these measures that we're taking will, and in fact we have already started to see a decrease in the situation. Now, with regards to the public restroom issue, it has become a big problem for us. And one of the things that we're concerned about is our transit hubs. So TransLink is who manages our transit here in the metro area, and they had not put in public restrooms in any of their major hubs, which is a huge mistake, I think. We've really kind of pressured them, and there's a new line that's going up called the Broadway line, and they're actually now starting to implement that. So hopefully, that will help alleviate the situation. And as you mentioned, there are some other public restrooms that the city has not maintained. There is a plan to open some additional ones. So we're hoping, with all of these different efforts, we'll see a decrease in some of these issues.
Okay, so just so we're clear here, the majority of this issue is dog waste, but just is the human side of things, is that a growing concern?
It's certainly a growing concern for sure, and then I think one of the things that we talk about here is there's when you have a problem, I think a lot of folks think, all right, well, there's one way to fix it, or it's just this is what the problem is. It's like, well, no, there are several. Generally, there are several things going on at the same time. With regards to human waste, there definitely have some folks who have some severe mental health issues, and even though there are public restrooms available, are not using them. And so we need a solution to fix that issue, which is just better mental health supports for those folks. And then, again, tackling the other issues the way that we've started to tackle them. So I think there's multiple things going on here at the same time, Elias.
What about drugs? Because that's what I hear a connection here. A lot of this has to do with drug use and maybe some public health policies with regards to drug use. And I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's no question that some of these issues are related to the addiction issues that we're seeing, really throughout, North America. And I know there's some programs that the province is slowly building here that we hope will help along the lines of involuntary care. Again, this is one of those things where we see someone who's really severely mentally ill, could be through addiction or through other issues, and getting that person the help that they need in order to better manage their life. So yeah, there's certainly many issues that we are facing here, all at the same time.
Walley, how does this affect the businesses? I'm thinking about restaurants that have patios and other businesses. How does this issue affect the businesses that you represent?
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. It's the reason why we try to tackle this, Elias, is because we're concerned about just the look and feel of the neighborhood, right? And it's not pleasant. Situations where if someone has stepped in some feces and they're walking through the neighborhood or into someone's businesses, it's just not pleasant. It creates a mess that has to be cleaned up, and so we're just trying to tackle it before it becomes a bigger issue. The problem, of course, is funding is an issue too, and so that's one of the things that we have to try and manage through all of the needs that we have. What are the most important ones? We identified this as being an important one, and we are the ones that labeled it the Poop Fairy program, just because it's not a pleasant topic. So how do you turn something that's not very pleasant into something that's a little bit more manageable?
We're with Walley Wargolet, Executive Director of the Gastown Business Improvement Society. That's in Vancouver, in British Columbia, and we're talking about some of the issues they're facing there. So, Walley, off the top, I said, one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because I want other Canadian cities not to go down the same path and experience the same fate. So what would be your recommendations to other parts of the country on how to make sure this doesn't become a problem there? I think you mentioned public restrooms, but is that what it has to do with, or are the other things that you'd recommend?
Well, I mean, again, I think stiffer fines for folks who don't take up after their dogs. It's a problem. I used to live in San Francisco in the States, and one of the things the city did there is they really increased the fines heavily in order to discourage folks from, not picking up their dogs. That worked. So I think something like that is important. But again, we see just so many folks in need, and ensuring that there's the right services and the right supports for these folks. We are, continually concerned about the number of people on our streets who are not getting the help that they need, and so addressing that in a real way, working with our provincial leaders to identify what are the services necessary. One of the things that we've been working on for the last few years here is we're doing wellness checks. We have a patrol team, a Gastown patrol. It's private security that we then monitor the whole area with, and they support our members. One of the things they're also doing is wellness checks, and these are, folks that they come across who might be lying on the sidewalk or in a laneway, just making sure that they're doing okay. And so one of the things we've asked the province is, well, we see this as an issue. What are you going to do to address it? Because we can't manage this. It's not maybe our responsibility to manage this issue. What are we going to do to get some folks out on those streets and to help these folks? And we are right now in a program called the Neighborhood Liaison Tables, where it's bringing all of the stakeholders together to identify these issues and then come out with real solutions in order to fix it. So that to me could be one of the things that folks, the minute you start to see some of these issues, is, gather your stakeholders together, identify what the needs of the community are, and then start implementing actual action items to help folks.
It must be frustrating, though, that you've got to come up with programs like Poop Fairies and other private services that perhaps government should be doing. Do you feel that way, that you're playing a role that you shouldn't be right now?
Well, I think that's happening in so many places, Elias. Yes, I think this term that folks use is downstreaming of services, and it starts from the federal government down to the provincial government, down to the municipal government, and then BIAs like ourselves are then left with also trying to fix it. So I agree with you 100%. We've got to get. It's almost like we need new job descriptions for everyone. To go, all right, these are your responsibilities. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what we're going to do. But you're not doing your job, so we got to get you back to doing the work that you're supposed to be doing. 100% agree. This downstreaming has got to stop. It's not serving anyone well.
Wally, got to leave it there. Thanks for the view from Vancouver. I appreciate it.
No, you bet. Thanks for having me.
That's Walley Wargolet, Executive Director of the Gastown Business Improvement Society in Vancouver.